Hello again, everyone. I'm going to carry on in the same vein as yesterday, making a card suitable for men. I'm going to use eyeshadows again, but I'm going to do a slightly different technique from what I did yesterday. Yesterday, I simply used eyeshadows with mica in them onto a surface that had been covered with Versamark. But today, I want to do some overprinting, maybe a bit of embossing as well. So we will see. I've got a piece of Hessian, or burlap, as you call it, the other side of the pond. And I've just been spending time straightening it, because whether I want it with a frayed edge or not, I didn't like the look of it. So this is what I've just cut off to get rid of the odd edges. It was cut into a rectangle, but the rectangle didn't match with the weave of the Hessian. So I'll just get rid of this and then we'll start on our merry way. I believe these little leaves are poppy stamps. I think they are, not absolutely sure. This is going to be my backdrop for the leaves. I've got a small card. This is half a sheet of A4, cut down the length, tent folded with a panel to match. So first thing I'm going to do is to put some Versamark on these leaves. So I'm working on a little bit of silicone mat. This was a huge piece of kitchen protection stuff, and I've cut it into various pieces, and I use it for all sorts of things. It's good with heat, it's good with glue, and it just wipes clean whatever you do to it. So this one I'm going to cover the whole thing. Yesterday I used a dauber because the dragonfly was kind of a bit more delicate. This one, something more to get your hands on, so it's pretty well covered. That's great. Now previously, when I've used solid eyeshadows like this, I have scraped a little bit off to put onto my project because I didn't want this eyeshadow getting messed up just in case I wanted to use it again. So I didn't want, you know, Versamark and goodness knows what going on there. But I had a rummage this morning and I found some more eyeshadows. These are from years ago. I am such a hoarder. But there's some lovely mica shades. I don't use Bare Minerals anymore. I used to use their... Oh, look, this hasn't even been opened. Oh my goodness, how do you open this? Oh, there it is. Look at that. I can tap some of that out. I've got a pale green. And this one, this is not Bare Minerals, it just says Peacock. That's an interesting green, isn't it? So I've got various greens to go at and a brown. So I thought these leaves would kind of look all right with those colours. I'm going to use a small blending brush, maybe an even smaller one. Look at that one, maybe. Now let's start putting some of this powder on. I'm not going to use this again. I think I'm going to dip the brush straight in. Any old wear, doesn't much matter. Okay, there's a bit of that green. How about, what am I going to do about this green? Do I try and get this out? There we go. Right, let's try some of this green. It's a nice colour. I think it's quite me though, actually, so quite happy to use it on my projects. Probably an expensive way of doing it, but still better than it doing nothing at all sitting in the drawer. Okay, that's that one. Now the brown. I think I'll just do the rest with the brown. Oh, there it is. Look, that's come It's got one of those little things inside. Ah, I see. I can keep that in and just shake it upside down onto the lid. I see. Okay, fair enough. And this one. Obviously, the first powder to get its its wicked way with the Versamark is the one that is taking the colour. Right, I'm just going to cover these up in case of accidents. I think those 3 colours are obviously enough. Right, the next thing I want to do is to stamp some little spotty things with some Stazon, and I've got a brown here. This is an old stamp from Stampin' Up, and it's just kind of tiny splatter dot things. So let me just use a bit of this. I think all that's doing is pulling off some of the powder. Let's just see. It's made an effect, so we'll keep it for the minute. What I'm going to do next is just spray these with some hairspray. So I'll put them into my spray box. Put the whole thing in, actually. And give them a quick squirt with hairspray. Oh, those dots have shown up more now, haven't they? Can you see? They've shown up more. That's great. Okay. So now I need to wait until that hairspray has dried from the next part of this. So I'll move that onto something else. Should dry fairly quickly. On the card, anyway. Aren't they pretty? I'm thinking that Hessian is going to be a bit too bold for them, actually. I might have to think of something else for the background, because that looks a little bit strong. We'll see. I'll think of something. Okay, that cleans up beautifully. Can you see? Right. The next thing I want to do is to stamp these with some Versamark and then emboss that with a little bit of gold embossing powder. The same dots, but I want to emboss them with the gold. So I need to make sure that they're kind of dry. Otherwise, the embossing powder will stick everywhere, not just on the dots. I think they're dry now. Right, this time I'm going to use Versamark for my dots. Just use the other end of the stamp, and then I'm bound to be getting dots in a different place, aren't I? Okay. Next, I'll put them and have some embossing powder on them. Let's just see. I hope I waited long enough for them to dry. Looks like it did. Okay. Right. Okay. Now I will just heat set this. There's a few bits extra I don't want on there. That's fine. looking at this one, I think, just wondering if I need a bit more stamping on there. I think I will. I'll do it again. I was thinking that I would do a little bit of gilding flakes around the edge. This one has got a bald little bit at the end there. It must have missed out on everything. I will do. Here's my gold gilding wax. Get an applicator. This is an eyeshadow applicator. It's these bits on here I want particularly. There was a bit missing. Okay. That one's had a bit missing on one of the points as well. And that one. Oh. There we go. Something about gold and green and brown. Lovely. Right, so there are my leaves. Actually, they might be all right on the Hessian now I've been fiddling around with them. Let's just have a look, see. Maybe if I use a small piece, we'll see. Sentiment, that's what I was thinking. Sentiment. And the sentiment I thought I'd use today, again, I want to do one of these. I want to see what these are like embossed. I've done them with regular ink and they've been great. I'm going to have a thank you, I think. Shall I have thank you? Let's have a get well soon. I've got many get well soon cards. So I think I'll do this. I think I'll do it just on with a block. But I'm going to use the card on the flat side this time, not the textured side. I should get a clearer print if I do it on the flat side. So let's have a go. I haven't used this before. Just give it a quick wipe on the back of my hand. You can see it's shiny there, but it looks more opaque after I've rubbed it on my hand. I don't know what it does. I don't know whether there's oil, skin, or I'm wiping stuff off the stamp. I've got no idea what happens, but once I do this, the stamp seems much more readily able to accept ink. Okay, I will use my anti-static tool on here, and then hopefully, oh, that does smell nice. The powder that's in there is lovely. I don't know what it is. It came out of another anti-static tool. There was where I had a bit extra. Right, this is a get well soon. So let's try this one. See how it goes. Looks pretty good to me. Excellent. I'll just heat set this. Okay, now a tip that I gave yesterday, several people have said to me what a good tip it was. I only discovered it by accident. I was cutting out using my long bladed scissors, and I am very, very inept, shall we say, at cutting long straight lines. But what I discovered was, as I was holding my card, I had these fingers against this side of the bottom blade. So I started to cut, and the scissor, you don't get in the way of the blade, you get to the side of the blade, move your fingers up, and the blade goes against those fingers and it keeps cutting in a straight line. So I found that really quite useful. I've just found myself doing it really, and I thought, oh, that's a better a better line. So there we are. There's my sentiment. Now, what are we going to do about arranging on a card? Get well soon. They look nice together, don't they? Let's have a look. Here's my card base. I was going to do it this way up. There's a bit of powder around. So, let's have a look at this. I'll try a small piece, I think, and see what I think. If I don't like it, I have to think again. So, the sort of trimmer I would use for Hessian burlap is a guillotine type, not one with a blade that runs up and down. I don't think that would be strong enough. I think I just want a small piece, actually. Just a small square. So, a bit bigger than that. I'm looking down here. I don't suppose you can see this, but I'm looking down to see the weave of the Hessian to make sure that it's kind of straight. Whoops. There we go. Now, let me just cut a rectangle, actually. I was thinking of a square, but I think I'll have a rectangle. Can't get it right up there. It's a bit tight, so I'm just going to follow the lines of the grid here to keep it straight. Plus the weave down this side here. There we go. Now, do I want... Those bits can go back in the drawer. Do I want to fray this? Perhaps, yes, I do. They're pretty leaves, aren't they? I'll try it frayed. If I don't like it, I can cut it smaller again. I'll just take one off for the minute. That was a 2. Need to cut that bit a bit straighter. Yes, I like it. I like it with just a little border. So let's get this bit straight. I didn't do a very good job. That's better. Only looks like dust, but it does make a difference. Right. One panel. Don't know if there's a difference in the two sides. I think I'll stick this on with a little piece of double-sided adhesive sheet. This stuff called Stick It is quite a good one. Let's have a little bit of this. All sorts of manufacturers make this double-sided sheet. I'm going to cut it just slightly smaller than the rectangle. Okay, it should fit in the middle there quite nicely. Okay, let's take off one side, if I can. There we go. very hard to stick Hessian because you don't want glue oozing through the gaps. Not working incredibly well. I think I might have been better off with just a bit of my tape runner, but never mind. Well, can you see there is some on there? Hopefully it will be sufficient to hold it in position. Okay, there we go. Oh, it's sticking beautifully. Excellent. Right, now then, have these, and I think we could have these on foam. Shall we put them on a bit of foam tape? I don't think so. Perhaps not. Perhaps the Get Well Soon. I will put the Get Well Soon onto foam tape. If you see me putting these two narrow strips on, thinking, why isn't she using wider foam tape? Often, most often, the wider foam tape is actually deeper, and I don't want the depth of dimension. I just want this shallow tape. So if it means putting two strips on, then that's fine. Okay. Oh, there's nearly the end of this one. I'm going to put this on. Get Well Soon. Put it slightly to this side to balance the fact that that one is over on that side. Now, shall I put a little bit? I think I'll put a tiny bit of tape in the centre and glue down the edges just to give it that little bit of dimension. So a tiny bit in the middle. I can bother with the last one. It might be a bit small. Let's see. Can I just put a tiny bit on? Yes, I can just put a tiny bit. Now I'll put some glue on the edges and we'll be done. I think we're done. Yeah, one finished card. Perfect for a man. Perfect for anybody, really. I've been pleased with the way that sentiment embossed, and the texture and the interest on those leaves, I think, is really quite lovely. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for the thumbs up. I did take a look, and apparently there are still 36% of people who watch regularly who haven't subscribed to my channel. 36%, that's kind of a lot. It means a lot to creators for people to be subscribed and to click the thumbs up. So if you could, that would be absolutely wonderful. So thanks for joining me, and come and see me again soon.